Blake Murphy is here. Good morning, friend.
What's up, man? My mom says hi.
That means the world to me. You know I love your mom.
Yeah.
What a lady. Maybe we should all catch a ball game as a family again this year.
Yeah, we can. I think she came to 2 last year.
Yeah. I didn't get to go to one with the family last year. It was 2 years ago that I went with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, are you going opening day?
Yeah.
Yeah. Media, though, right?
Yeah, it's a 3.
Yeah.
So I got Rap Show. I'm doing Jays Talk Plus in the afternoon, and then Blue Jays Central. We got 5:30 to 7.
This is the time of year where we get ready to pass off
Yeah.
our workloads.
Yes.
You go from being 1 hour, one show guy to me being the 1 hour guy. Oh, God. Would you flip it? I think I have it better than you. Like I go longer for 2,
Well,
but
I wouldn't.
I'm in
wouldn't
busy
flip
here.
it because I don't think I could get 2 hours out of the Raptors the last 2 years.
that's what I'm saying.
So
it's like,
I think even though doing 2 hours in the summer is not as good,
yeah.
it's easier to get 2 hours out of the Jays than it is the Raptors.
Well, it's
at least until the Raptors come back around.
But this also has to be the first time that you've done Jays Talk Plus where you're actually really excited that you think that 2 hours is not going to be impossible because the last couple of years in the season, like I was
2024 by September of 2024
Yeah,
was.
man.
I never want to go back and look at what those shows were.
But I joked about this the other day with someone, how when Ennis and I went to the home opener last year and the Jays got the doors blown off them, and I once again did not bet a Tyler O'Neill home run, which is just because it's unforgivable that I've not done this any single year. We thought that the season was going to be horrific. That day at the ballpark, I don't know if you remember the vibes, but it was as though we were already late into the year.
Yeah.
How frustrated the fan base was. And now here we are today. You know,
It felt like that Texas series from 2023.
Yes, that's what I
where
mean.
they
It
like
just-
got swept and it was like, oh no,
Yeah.
the reality is set in.
just stapled it on
Yeah.
to the next season. And, you know, I was very curious about that year in terms of what the fan threshold was going to look like for another bad year. And then, of course, they make it to a World Series. And now we're talking about a situation where Ross Atkins is almost guaranteed to be one of the longest tenured GMs in Toronto sports history, and that there's stability top to bottom, and the order is deep. The rotation has suffered already. It's now 3 injuries, and it still looks like a beautiful rotation. Like,
When's the last time you can remember the like Arden BNS Shy series of articles at the end of spring training being like, the 13th bullpen guy, like the 8th bullpen guy? That's the only question mark.
yeah. Well, and there's the David
Schneider or
thing.
Leo Jimenez in the 13th role, and then Spencer Miles or Chase Lee. Like that, those are, even with 3 starting pitching injuries
Yeah.
and Santander being down, those are the only like question marks on the roster.
Yeah, I know. And I still believe David Schneider coming in with ABS. He's going to be like one of the beneficiaries.
Have I told you, I pulled numbers on this last year too. I have like a short king theory of the ABS.
Yeah.
Statistically, short players have been jobbed at the top of the zone a little bit more by umpires. Like umpires don't seem to adjust the top of the zone appropriately for
This is
shorter
good.
players.
This is interesting.
So yeah, Davis was really good at it at AAA. They had a couple. Riley Tarota's another one at AAA who's a shorter guy, and gamed it. So I pulled the numbers at the MLB level last year, and yeah, like guys under 5'11" had like the lowest rate of correctly called top of the zone pitches. So there's a short guy bump this year. Fantasy players out there who haven't drafted yet, draft your short guys if you're in an OBP league.
You know what? Before we get into, so we're going to talk a little Blue Jays today, and then I do have a lot of Raptors for you because I do feel like this is yet another. I like to bring you in what I feel like are the inflection points of the season on the Raps, and to me, this is one of them, and I'll explain why in a second here. But Ennis sent me this graphic the other day. Speaking of the short kings, where it was the most notable listed player height changes.
Okay.
And this will shock everyone, but none of the guys were shorter than they actually or taller than they were that they were listed. That no one got that wrong somehow, and yet a lot of guys got a lot shorter.
So it's such a fascinating thing too, because the reason they're getting measured is for the ABS, so that it can accurately measure your strike zone. So like you're 5'10".
Yeah.
So like, what if I came to you and was like, if you tell people you're 5'8", you get like 15 grand more. on your salary or
I'd
something
lock
like
it in
that.
immediately.
So that's what these guys are facing.
Price. Yeah.
Like you're an NBA player who's like actually 5'10" and listed at 6 feet.
Yeah.
And they're like, actually, your threes count as 4 if you admit you're 5'9".
Okay, so the only guy in Major League Baseball who was listed as shorter than he actually is.
Okay.
You want to guess?
I have no idea.
Shohei Ohtani.
Of course.
Yeah. Shohei is actually 6'4". He listed himself as 6'3".
Cool.
So, yeah, it's like, wow, the rich get richer, right? So Shohei was the only guy that was trying to cheat the ABS the other way, where he probably read the Blake Murphy article, was trying to get an edge.
Yeah.
Came in there, lied about his height, wanted a smaller strike zone, didn't end up getting it.
Sheepishly, he's like, and actually my biceps are 25 inches, not 24 inches.
But this actually will now prove to you the true vanity of men with their heights, where even though it's more profitable and better for their profession to be shorter, they will fight it still and go like, nah, don't tell anybody that.
No.
Okay, so which one of these is more criminal to you? Because I got in a debate with Ennis about this privately, but I wanted to bring you in on this. So Gavin Lux listed that he was 6'2", and he's actually 5'11".
Come on.
Bo Naylor listed that he was 6 feet 5, and he's actually 5'9". So Ennis thinks that it's Naylor for saying that he's 6.
It's too greedy.
Yeah,
if you're close to 6 feet, round up to 6 feet, and I'm not gonna
5'9" is a generous roll up to 6 feet. But yeah.
But like trying to steal 2 extra inches on top of
I know that's
lying about 6 feet.
That's what I'm saying is like if you're 6'2", you're tall. You're the shortest of the talls.
Yeah.
You're the shortest of the talls. But congrats, you're tall. So if you're telling somebody you're tall, but then you're under 6 feet, that is criminal behavior, Gavin Lux. And that's not even one where you could say like, oh, whoops, like I got it wrong, right? Ooh, oh, my bad. I just like that's not a fudge number. That's
a lie.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Gavin Lux, I view you differently now, man. That's a level of insecurity and liar that I couldn't trust you with a big contract extension.
Yeah. No, this is the Tampa Ray. I was talking with a friend the other day watching the last spring training game of like, what is the weird thing the Rays are going to do this year? Because like on paper, they're terrible.
Lie about
they have nothing going on. This is it.
Yeah.
They're lying about everyone's height for ABS. It's going to be the new
next Astros.
Yes.
Is that
first it was positional versatility, then it was the opener, then it was stealing bases before the rule changes, and now it's going to be none of their guys are the right height.
Yeah, everyone's going to slouch when they do. It's like try to accordion your body as much as possible.
They're making everyone sleep vertical so that they're like spine compresses.
This is actually big for the older players because you start to shrink a little bit. What, at like 33 or 32, I think is around the age.
I haven't started, obviously.
Yeah, listen, no, it's very gradual, but like I think that it's somewhere around that age where you start to like just lose a tiny little bit. And so to combat the powers that are working against you of becoming slower, not having the same bat speed, the same reaction time.
You get an inch at the top of the zone.
Yeah, you get at least that inch at the top of the zone.
Inch,
that's a nice give back to the veteran players. We should factor that into the next CBA negotiations. Okay, so Raptors, inflection point. A few things that I wanted to bring up today. But I actually felt like last week there was a little bit of positive momentum rolling where they beat the Detroit Pistons. And like, okay, they didn't have Beef Stew because he's out with the suspension still. Yeah, but like a good player.
No, I'm just laughing because I get a real kick out of Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah,
and like the Raptors, him being out for that game right after the Raptors did nothing to the DeJounte Murray thing. It's like I wonder what Isaiah Stewart would have done. He would have powerbombed him.
The Raptors got so saved by the Maple Leafs doing the exact same thing.
Yes.
The following
and
evening.
also like having a quick, good winning streak.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we didn't respond, but it's fine. We responded with our play, and they could just like give it lip service.
Yeah,
but
and again, they're not.
Pelicans are here Friday, by the way. No one's gonna. It's gonna be low visibility because of the Jays opener, but.
Yeah, low visibility because of the Jays opener and also the nature of the sport, which is you're not going to go out and really do something stupid to that player. I would guess the only thing would be, like for me to monitor, would be, I thought Scotty Barnes was the one that kind of got the biggest target out of that incident just because of the way, the passivity in the moment. And yeah, the silence from the player. And I thought, yeah, he's someone where it was like if DeJounte Murray's going up to the basket, he's the guy that's inside. You give a hard foul at some point and stare down. You do a lot, I think, for your...
Be a good way to Markelle Fultz to ingratiate himself.
I'm excited about Markelle. I'm unreasonably excited about Markelle Fultz. Anyway, so They roll up a couple of wins, and the third one's against the Chicago Bulls, who stink. Like just absolutely playing for nothing, even though they did beat Houston last night.
Sure.
They go to Denver, and they get scorched by Tim Hardaway Jr., who just has an incredible game, and then Jamal Murray, who's showcasing to the world, like, hey, if Canada had this version of Jamal Murray at the Olympics, probably not.
Also, like a good reminder that like there's levels to being a star where like his stat line was good in that game, but you watch that game and he had the entire Raptors defense in a blender.
And not even just that, it was like the timeliness of the scores where the Raptors kept trying to sort of build out their lead. And every time they would build some positive momentum, Jamal Murray would just take the ball and shake somebody out of their shoes and knock down like what is nothing short of elite professional shot making. And it also sucks watching, like they have that in Brandon Ingram, where the scoring package is elite. It's as pretty much as good as it gets throughout the NBA. But they don't have guards that do that, and the value of having a guy who can just set you off balance the way that Jamal Murray does from the backcourt. Anyways, they lose to Denver, but Jakob Poeltl has this awesome game, and the Raptors did play well, and you could at least squint at that one and go, all right, that didn't feel like the fourth quarter losses from the previous rest of the season, right? This actually was a like competitive game. They played their asses off. They're in the altitude, and they lost to one of the teams that is at least in contention for a title this year in a tight ball game in the fourth quarter. Cool. That feels like a little bit of growth. But then they play the Suns, and it's over in the first quarter, right? It's just done. And everybody's lackadaisical. Nobody looks good. And I realized watching that game how quick I have like the traumatic response to the Raptors now, where they can't lay eggs against decent teams without me feeling really upset about it. Like more than I felt pride watching the win against Detroit, more than I felt pride when they were winning against Denver, and I thought that they had a realistic shot at it. And so where I'm going with this, super long-winded, I'm sorry for that, but I don't know how, like what we're supposed to measure, how we're supposed to measure this Raptors season. Like if it ends up going the way that it really feels like it's going, which is a first-round playoff exit, potentially, I don't think they're going to be in the play-in game. I think they're going to win just enough. Like I looked at their schedule. It's pretty light down the stretch, and they've proven they beat bad teams.
Yeah. Sunday's big against Orlando, and they have 2 left against Miami, but they own a lot of the tiebreakers too in that range.
And I also, Miami, if you drop 2 straight to Miami, I think that's a pretty disappointing outcome.
Did you see Bam last night?
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the effing play-in after he shot like 5 of 18. And
I've also seen the Miami Heat go 1-5 since Bam scored the 83. So anyway,
it's just really funny to be like swearing about you don't want to be in the play-in after a terrible.
Yeah. Anyways, let's just say I'm not really convinced by the teams that are chasing the Toronto Raptors in terms of their ability to remain consistent enough down the stretch to really bypass them. Maybe the Raptors slip into 6. I don't really see it as like a full plummet. But yeah, if it keeps going this way and the results are this, where they have the odd competitive night against a good team, but ultimately they keep losing them. They get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Like, how much of a narrative swing do you think that they are even capable of from this point forward until literally we're at the locker room cleanout day?
No, I think they would have to win a playoff series for any of what we've talked about to swing. And I went back and I listened to our opening week chat, a little bit of it. Just I didn't listen to the whole hour, but like, hey, it feels like we were right about a lot of this stuff about where they are and what the big questions are.
Pretty much what this season.
And I think they're probably going to finish with 1 or 2 wins more than I projected them for. But like mostly they're what we thought, and a lot of the questions we talked about were like, okay, the question you have to answer by the end of June is we know the path back to getting good. What is the path to then taking that next step? And we still don't have the answer to that. And that answer is not going to materialize unless something that I'm not seeing changes in a playoff series. I don't think they're going to unlock some sort of defense in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to, suddenly Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes play at the same pace. Suddenly all the pieces fit even better than they have so far. So, there are small things like Jacoby looks like a real guy.
Yeah.
Colin Murray-Boyles looks like a real guy. That's great. You have all your first-round pick equity moving forward and stuff. But there's half the league in the same spot where they're like, we have our guys, and what if 1 or 2 young guys pop, and we have some picks in the 20s and things like that. So I think, it's largely been a positive season. It could have gone worse where the positivity we had about it and where the pieces fit and a couple of the young guys all didn't work. They're winning 35 games, and it's
Brandon
like
Ingram stay healthy.
it's like, shoot, you gotta take an even bigger step back now before the step forward. But it's pretty clear that like, and Grange, to Grange's credit, wrote like kind of mentioned this in a piece the other day, like the whole "this is the second year of a rebuild" thing.
No,
is like
everybody snuffed that out from day one.
Everyone's on their second or third contract in the starting lineup and stuff. So
I think they're the only team in the NBA with 5 guys on $20 million contracts.
Yeah. So there you go. Everyone's
it's not, you cannot sell it as a rebuild to anybody with a brain.
No, it's you want to talk about you're trying to reestablish a certain culture or style of play, whatever, but it's not a rebuild in the way we use that term. So I don't know that there's going to be a lot of information the rest of the way. Like we know who RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram are. We know Jakob Poeltl is I'm very excited to see these guys in a playoff series and see Scotty taking that #1 assignment in a playoff series. But I think we know who all these guys are, and 70 games in, how they fit. And like I know they've dealt with injuries and stuff like that. Their starting
that was
five
something that you and I circled at
their
the beginning
starting
of the season.
five has played together like at a top 5 amount
from
this year.
From a standpoint of what the original outlook was this season based on their injury history. I went through it with you about the amount of games missed between the starters over the last 3 seasons. For them to have gotten this much health is a huge victory. Like if you were going to do the biggest winners of this Raptors season, yet again, like the training staff is very high on that list because you didn't lose a lot of man games lost, and especially when
I think they're third last in total man games lost.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like it being Poeltl and RJ is like those things are not created equal, but they are. I was going to say
that the rest of the league has got an uptick in that because we have a more defined set of teams at the very top that can rest guys, and a more defined bottom, which has teams like the Utah Jazz where they go, look at their DNP list every night. Yeah. It's 9 guys. Yeah. Yesterday it was just like, hey, Ace Bailey, do whatever you want because nothing matters. It looked pretty good. Yeah, it looked pretty good. Yeah.
Him and DeBonce are going to be nice little after they rigged the lottery. So
I know. I've been calling that for 3 months, and I
ever since he signed the NIL deal at BYU, I was like, oh yeah, anyway, I just looked it up. The starting 5 is basically top 6 in minutes played together of any lineup in the league this year. So by the standards of the current NBA, like the Timberwolves are the only team that's had their starting lineup together the whole way. So anyway, all that is to say, like we have a good idea of what this group is, and it's good. It's a positive step forward. It's just the same questions we had at the start of the year are yet to be answered, and it's what is the thing that's going to push them to the next level, because you can't be an expensive team where all your starters are already pretty deep into their careers and be like, well, we'll get better internally, because 15 teams in the league are probably thinking the same thing.
Well, and there's also only one guy that you could point to in the starting group that you really believe there's a added leap to come, in that Scotty Barnes.
I think you could get there with quickly a little bit, given the improvements he's shown during the year, although now he's got plantar fasciitis. So
I'm just saying in terms of
goes off the rails.
But in terms of like significant enough growth, do you really think quickly is going to go from the level of decent starter, like fine if he's in that spot, but if he's your lead guard, your team is absolutely not going anywhere and might actually be better suited as someone who is, frankly, the role that he was in with the New York Knicks, which is gunner 6-man who comes in and really carries a second unit rather than being like your primary guard on a team that's trying to win a championship.
I think he's probably developed a little past that, and it's more of a fit thing. Like you would want a more natural like lead handler with him for sure.
You're pretty small though if you have like that's one of the issues. And I know the Shed and him numbers for a while were very, very good.
Yeah.
But ultimately to have him be your starting essentially off-ball guard, you've got to be
it's got to be a star level point.
You got to be concrete at that other slot. That's all I'm saying is in terms of the leap, I don't think that you could talk yourself into anymore where we were at when Quickly first arrived, which is, hey, the pedigree of a Kentucky guard who could eventually be a maxi type level player. That's out the window for me.
Whereas with Scotty, there's a chance of like, well, he's probably second or third team All NBA this year. Could he get the first team? Like if he gets the 22 points a game kind of thing.
That's it. If he matures to the point where he feels more comfortable in the final 5 minutes of a basketball game. Yeah. If the scoring package continues to evolve a little bit where the shot making can extend beyond 15 feet. And if the defense can remain this consistently great, what do you have there in terms of a player? I will say this. I don't believe that Scotty Barnes is going to be like a closer type player in the NBA. I think we would have seen more evidence of that in terms of scoring.
Yeah, I don't think that's who he is, and I think that's why, and I think they know that, and that's why they went out and got Brandon Ingram.
Exactly.
And Brandon Ingram's not a perfect guy for that. His numbers in the clutch since the start of the season have actually been pretty shaky. Some of that's team design and stuff like that, but I think they are aware that like Scotty Barnes is not going to be a clear out one-on-one late game guy. He's going to be the guy who gets you the big block and the big stop at the other end to get the ball back and, you know, sets a really good screen,
which
to
is
free
fine.
The Brandon Ingram.
But when you're on the contract, Scotty Barnes is on.
Sure, but he's on the baby max, right? Like the 25%. Like,
no, I'm just saying in terms of team building.
No, I get it.
When you're
get
trying to build out a championship contending roster, and you've got a guy who, even though he's on the baby max, is not considered to be someone where, like, he has his spurts, he has his moments. Like, I really felt even against the Nuggets that he was attacking the paint, he was attacking some matchups, he was getting that spot where he can do those little baby hooks. I think his turnaround jumper has developed. His, like, again, 15-foot jump shot game feels pretty reliable to me now.
Yeah, but you're not calling that number with 3 minutes left in a 2-point game.
Well, and also where I do see his growth potential is that he'll be more assertive in those moments. This year, I do think, like, and this was fine, but the part of the Brandon Ingram feeling out process was too many earlier games throughout the season where Brandon Ingram became such the focal point to the late minute offense that other guys kind of stopped doing what it is that they're supposed to do and ended up sort of ball watching his offensive game.
Well, it's also and this is as much an Ingram thing as it is this is just how late game offense operates in the NBA. But there is like a little bit of dissonance in pace that they want to play with, right? Like if Scotty Barnes is the focal point of your offense, I'm not saying he should be long term, but theoretically,
you want to be playing with more pace.
Yes, exactly. You want to get up and run in transition. You want to hit those quick pistol actions, get Scotty either screening or catching and moving. He's so good at like surveying a scrambled defense and finding the passes. Whereas if you're running a crunch time cross screen or AI action or something like that to get Ingram, you know, the ball and operate with 6-7 seconds, you know, RJ's learned to cut around that a little bit, but you're asking non-spacers to kind of figure out the spacing around it, and it hasn't come yet. It's why they're one of the best clutch defenses in the league and one of the worst clutch offenses in the league.
So I guess where I'm going with all this is I think that if they do get bounced in the first round, they say lose in 5 games. Let's say 6 games even. I really don't view anything other than a playoff series win as a success for what this team was supposed to be. Because ultimately, even though there's like some better teams at the top of the Eastern Conference than maybe Cleveland's a little bit better than we thought they were going to be.
Boston's definitely better than we were anticipating.
Sure, and I think the Pistons might even, you could argue that they're a little further along than maybe we anticipated at the beginning of the season, although some of that has come back down to earth a bit. And
they've won 4 in a row without Cade.
Yes, and they've also got a lot to prove come playoffs, where who's going to be the secondary scorer for this team? Are they going to be able to have consistent offense in hard matchups where every night teams are going to be trying to eliminate Cade?
It's going to be Donis Jenkins, the most Latvian sounding guy in the NBA who's not Latvian.
Yeah, the double S. So they've got questions. My point there is I wouldn't say the East is like the Western Conference where the Raptors would be looking at this and going, all right, you know, really nothing we can do here. Look how great these teams are versus what the East is, which is like a collection of very good teams, but no one that I realistically view as going to win the title. I think it's going to be the Western Conference this year, right? Like, who's the best outcome? Boston, if they figure it out a little bit more with Tatum and he's...
Yeah, I'm still holding a little Knicks belief too.
But I'm out on the Knicks completely. I don't buy it. I think that the Knicks are. It's funny.
The Knicks.
Well, I did my who would you rather be rankings. Like what teams are best positioned for the next like 3-4 years, and in terms of like direction and what how fan base association. And for me, I was like, I had the Knicks sneakily low because of their inflexibility with this roster. Like that it's kind of their...
And age a little bit. Like Brunson as an undersized point guard who's 30 now.
That's what I mean. And it's just like, what happens if this goes another year where it doesn't work out for them? Anyway, whatever. This isn't Knicks talk. The thing that has loomed over this Raptors season for me is sort of that same piece, though, which is you see RJ's competitiveness and the secondary scoring that he brings. Also a player that can play in pace, a guy that can kind of meld into sort of whatever the Raptors are doing and doing it effectively. He's not a perfect player, right? Like the shooting is clearly an issue. I would say that the defense has gotten better, but by no means is he a stopper that you feel confident in. Like teams still attack him routinely. he doesn't feel like a long-term fit because of the contract, and yet I think that there are pieces of him that you lose as a culture setter player, as a secondary scorer, and you've seen the games where they don't have him, and you go, oh, it feels pretty light. The idea that the Raptors could make a trade with him that, like, there's always been this thought, like, hey, they could get two guys, and those two guys for RJ could maybe bring you more shooting, a little bit more rebounding, whatever it is, help fill out the depth of this roster. I'm never really convinced that that's going to be the value of him. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see. But the difficulty of this season in terms of, like, what did they prove is, okay, at least you tried to use the data set of, like, what do we need in order to improve as that secondary team that is around Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes, who have become the two pillars of this organization, the two guys that you are building around. And with the other three guys and a lot of the rotation, I'm not really sure they've been able to answer conclusively. Like, the average person could look at them and say, well, what they probably need to do is X. Like, there doesn't seem to be a ready solution for what that next step appears to be outside of, again, the internal development stuff.
And there might be an awkward case to be made, and maybe they're too invested in Ingram. And I like watching Ingram a lot offensively, but, like, when you look at the contract structure and stuff like that, and the things we're talking about in the clash and play style and stuff, like, I think you could make a reasonable case that an Ingram deal maybe resets things, depending on what you get back, more so than an RJ deal, even though RJ has the shooting limitations.
They won't do that, though.
They won't.
There's no way that they would ever, which is, in the
current market, like 2 more years of BI at $40 million might be harder to move than 1 year of RJ at 29, given the flexibility it provides. And, like, yesterday, we found out the cap's not going up as much as we thought.
I think that's a certainty.
Yeah.
That he's done well for himself, but not enough that it changes the fact that Brandon Ingram was basically available for 2 seasons and nobody wanted to trade for him and no one wanted to give him that That's why a lot of people were surprised that the Raptors gave him the extension that they did, because the number came over what it seemed to be optically around the NBA. So, yeah, I don't think that they're moving off of Ingram or Scotty Barnes, that those two pieces are like, and
Pirtle's not going anywhere, because even with his good play, I don't think anyone's touching that extension.
Well, okay, this is one where I did want to bring this up because I mentioned it on yesterday's show. I'm a little confused by the Pirtle situation. I was confused when they handed him the extension. You and I have talked about this ad nauseum, how the Raptors are their own worst enemies when it comes to these extensions, that they get these things done, like the initial Pirtle deal or the Quickly deal. Even to a degree, the Brandon Ingram deal, where you're like, why are you paying a premium on guys for these extensions when we're not really sure who it is that you're bidding against?
In the era where nobody has cap space, right?
Exactly.
Like, sign and trade is the only real leverage.
Like, was someone really going to give Emmanuel Quickly $32 million? And
35 if he hits his bonuses, too?
That's it. It's like, it seemed like such a reach. The Pirtle one's the weirdest of them all, though, right? Because just of his age and what he was making this year, and also what the center market is, where a lot of the league has sort of figured out, like, big men, unless it's elite, it's becoming a little bit like the running back position, where guys who are on rookie deals can come in there and give you some pretty damn good minutes, and you can grab a couple of those guys and find yourself in a pretty decent spot.
You could have Alex Len and Aaron Baines split the mid-level.
Yeah, not to that effect, but yeah. But even what you saw, like, I don't think CMB is a traditional 5 or should be playing a full season at a 5, but you just look at how effective he was for at least some stretches as a rookie player who's undersized, and you think, like, man, if they had, say, like what Klingon is doing in Portland, for example, where you're like, okay, these guys who are a certain pedigree player, they can step in on rookie deals and be pretty competent right away. Point is, I get why Pirtle's contract now is viewed as untradeable or as one of the worst contracts in the NBA. He's got the back stuff. It's a long extension. He's an older player. He is a center. There's a lot of reasons for it. But what I don't really get is how at the deadline, it really did seem, and maybe some of this was external, because we've had this happen before, right? Where the Raptors get thrown into a lot of noise, and internally the noise level isn't the same. But I spoke to Grange about it, and he had mentioned that the Raptors just didn't really know what was going on with his back, which is kind of standard with backs, but also something where, like, they had done a lot of tests, and it's one of those things where they can't identify, hey, this is exactly what this thing is. But if the Raptors were willing to try to shuffle him off into a salary dump, I was always very against that because one, they're not close enough to a winner where you would say like, okay, cool, part with different assets because you've got enough in the cupboards to be able to work around this. They're not a free agent destination still, as much as people would like to believe it. But then you watch Pirtle play these last couple of weeks, and yeah, they've got to sit him, and he's not the same. I don't think that there's a level of consistency that you can get out of him right now. Again, the contract is bad, but you see how valuable he is to the team when he's on the floor and he's playing against Denver and he gives you that game, or he's playing against Detroit and he gives you that game. And I just don't get why the Raptors, after signing him and seeing that production these last couple of weeks, would have been in such a spot of desperation where they would have been pushing assets out the door to dump the contract.
But I don't think they were.
Okay,
like,
so
I think that's why, like, and like anytime we did trade stuff on when I came on with you or when I did it with Bonner, it was like I don't see it. I don't see Sabonis. I don't see whoever, because the pick equity you would have to attach, and like again, we all like Pirtle, but there's 4 more years at $104 million total beyond this year for a guy who's already 30. And at the time of the trade deadline, we just didn't know with the back. So imagine you're a team that's going to take on 4 extra years at $104 million, and the medicals on his back are the shrug emoji. Like,
it honestly felt like you'd have to give up more than this year's first.
Even if you like the guy, of course you would have to ask for pick equity back to take that contract on, just from a risk profile. So, you know, I never got the sense that like that was all that realistic, because then you look at, like, if you have to attach picks to Pirtle just to get the contract off, and then you have to add someone else to make the math work and make it attractive to the other team, like suddenly you're talking about 2 starters and 2 picks for, you know, Sabonis or something like that, who, you know, that's not enough. That's too many pieces, and that's too much of your future.
Yeah.
And to your point, you are at a spot developmentally and like on the path wise where it makes way more sense from a value perspective to hold on to Pirtle and see what happens and rehab the value and reevaluate it later, rather than paying future pick equity to get out of that deal so soon. Like, it's not a Damari Carroll situation where you're so close to a spot you've never been before. And like you do feel like you're one piece away, that it's worth a first and a second to unload. I don't think you're in that spot.
Yeah, I agree.
And there was no, like, in the Carroll example, and I use him as an example because it's the one time they, you know, paid big pick equity to get out of a guy.
Yeah. JYD 2.0.
Yeah, like he wasn't, there was no scenario in which he was going to like play his way back into that being a good contract. And I don't think the back end of Pirtle's is, but I think there's like,
I do think, though, that there's pretty much no way that they're not going to have Jakob Pirtle for at least half of that contract.
Yeah, I just think like if you were going to trade him, the selling point would be, well, he only costs 19.5 next year. So could you convince a team to take the bad years because he's a great value next year? I don't know. I think realistically, they signed him to that extension because they want him around. But yeah, at the deadline, it was like there's too much going out then to make the salary math work and entice and pay down the risk of $104 million left on Pirtle's deal. And I know the 4th year is not fully guaranteed, but
sure.
It's still,
either way,
we're still talking $90 million over 4 years for a guy who in that moment had a question mark back injury.
And who is a very good player.
Yeah.
But I would not say it's like, this sounds insulting to him, but if you think about when teams have taken chances on Kristaps Porzingis, for example, the idea was like, well, this guy can also shoot threes and he can block a million shots. And like, if you do get him healthy, he is such a ceiling raiser type player that we're willing to take on the risk of this. And he was always on short-term deals. It was a very different situation with that injury history. If you had Jakob Pirtle for another 2 years, you could kind of talk yourself into that, being like, all right, this guy might be able to bang in the Western Conference, defend certain guys, whatever it is. At that contract length, I just don't see any case that a team would be making going that the first 2 years of this deal are such a ceiling raiser type player that we're willing to take on the risk of what the final 2 years look like. I just don't. So here's how I want to close the Raptors talk with at least what is, to me, the biggest point of optimism over the last couple of weeks, and that's the play of Jacoby Walter, who, you know, I'll admit I was wrong. I never saw this coming with this player. Like, I just didn't. I mentioned it yesterday to Armin that when he was coming out of college, I didn't like the free throw shooting. I thought that his game was like he was going to need the ball too much and that it wasn't going to be any efficiency. He's evolved into someone that I think is a very reliable role player. The defense is quality. He's shooting 37% now on what is almost a full season of NBA basketball.
He's up to like 39 after last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was
He
like
went 6 for 8
I thought it was
last
just under 38, but yeah,
that was
that's
before last night.
right. I guess that's enough of a sample from one game to bump that up because that was a huge 3-point shooting night.
6 for 8.
So the shooting has really gotten to a place where he's reliable.
And it looks good. Like the mechanically, he has like figured it out. He gets set really well. He's
great.
Like really consistent.
I mentioned this as well, which is he does seem to be someone who's very receptive to Darko's coaching. The communication between he and the coaching staff appeared to be something where like he's locked in.
He's a really smart kid too.
Yeah,
like I've been hearing since day one, like the way he takes the film and adjustments and stuff like that is really sharp.
So I guess that's sort of just where this is headed is, do you view what this play is then? Because again, we do have a full season of at least some shots of it, but there was a lot of inconsistencies, more so throughout the year than there have been the last couple of weeks. You view this more as something that is very real rather than something that is a blip of a hot streak of a player who's been getting a little bit of added minutes.
I think he can be in a playoff rotation for a team that wants to win a series. I think the on-ball defense is good enough. Like, take Scotty out of it because you don't always want Scotty on the perimeter. I think he's their best option on ball if you don't want to pull Scotty away from the lower third where you can block shots and get steals and stuff like that. Like, I think he's, even though Shed has the pick up full court and more of a reputation, so I think I would, in a tough spot, Jamal Murray, I would rather have Jacoby Walter on that assignment. I think he's their best guard on the ball. And I think the shooting is real. I think he does some nice stuff that doesn't matter a ton yet in terms of like cutting, and he can get into the paint a little bit. He actually draws fouls at a pretty good rate for like a role player guy because he's like a little tricky when he attacks a closeout or whatever. I think there's enough there. I don't know, I don't, how much would he have to add in terms of offensive juice to be like a meaningful starter? I'm not sure, but I think like, I think he has the profile of a guy who, like, if RJ were out, you could plug him in and suddenly like the shooting and defense that sometimes is not there with RJ. You obviously wouldn't have the second side attack, the transition attack, the ability to score at the rim and stuff like that. But you have those other things, and he makes sense with a lot of guys and with a lot of different lineup things because he has some on-ball juice and he has the three-point shooting. So, like, if you're a role player, like Matt and I were talking about this yesterday because until last night, Jamal Shed had been struggling so much, right? And he's down to like 31% on threes. And Mamu, when the shots aren't dropping, like that, he had a great game last night. But the 2 games before that, when the shots aren't dropping, you notice the defense a little bit more. The playoffs is not about the best 8 players necessarily. It's about the best 8 players who you can't attack on defense and you can't ignore on offense. And Jacoby does enough of both of those things that, like, don't get me wrong, I think the Cavs or the Knicks would be like, okay, we're leaving Jacoby Walter open in the corner so we can help on Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram. They would still live with that. But 39% on a good volume of threes is enough to punish that. Whereas, 31% if you're Jamal Shed isn't enough to punish that. And defensively, I don't think you're attacking him. Maybe in a size mismatch, but like certainly not to the level you're hunting, quickly on a size mismatch or Mamu if he's out there. So I think, in terms of role player stability and what does this guy's role look like in a playoff series, him being the only one of those guys who's like a true two-way guy really helps a lot in terms of like, this is a guy projecting forward.
So I in terms of guys I'm most interested come playoff time, Scotty's obviously one. Like there's just no, I don't even think there's a remote case to debate that, which is like, what does he look like in a playoff series and how does he perform? But if I was doing like after that, because you're basically what we're discussing here is that this year might end up being a bit it's not a throwaway in the sense of you lose all the development or you lose some of the knowledge that you did gain, but that in terms of the 5 guys that you have going forward, the structure that you have as this team, it's very difficult to project a scenario where they bring all 5 of those guys back next year and say, yeah, we really think that adding a first-round pick and Jacoby Walter and CMB taking a step forward are suddenly going to transform us into being one of the best 3 teams in the Eastern Conference.
And by the way, you probably lose Mamu unless you make a trade elsewhere to clear cap space.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough loss, but I also think that they can supplement his value in other ways.
I just mean if you're talking about how are we better, like that 20th overall pick, even if you like him, is replacing Mamu. So it's not a pure addition.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, and Markelle Fultz, starting point guard.
Yeah, Markelle Fultz is going to comeback player of the year next year. I think that the Jacoby development and CMB and having those two guys be a part of your team and feel like they are actual hits as rotation players is monumental for the way that this team can build itself out over the next couple of years. That the flexibility of those two players and knowing like, okay, we've got two of these bench pieces sorted, two guys that can elevate potentially into starting roles, maybe not for the entire season, but in spots, massive for this team. And Walter specifically, like CMB, you're far more patient with in terms of what he does in the playoffs. I think it's a little bit closer to irrelevant. But for me, in terms of, hey, what's the most important thing? 1 is going to be Scotty, 2 is going to be Quickly, and I actually feel as though 3 is going to be Jacoby Walter. Because I think I know what Brandon Ingram is.
Yeah.
So if he has a cold shooting streak in the postseason.
Or a hot shooting streak.
Yeah, it's not going to move me either way in terms of how I feel about him as a player. And Jakob Poeltl is what he is. That's already known. Same thing goes for RJ Barrett. But those other 3 guys, I feel like in a playoff series can teach you something about them that maybe we didn't already know.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that list?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, but that's exciting that Jacoby Walter's one of those guys.
And like it's such a like look, obviously anyone having a good playoff series is great, but there's small samples and stuff like that. But I do think when it's a young role player and you can come out of it being like, this is a guy we had no problem trusting in a playoff series is a lot like for the guy, surely, but also like as you build for it. Like if you look back to the Nuggets and what they like, Christian Brown and Peyton Watson both had playoff series like that, where it was like, these guys are good, but like, I don't know yet. Are they in the trust tree kind of thing? And then they were.
They probably got a little too excited too early about them, but now it's kind of gotten
it's
to
come
that
back
place.
Around. Yeah. And like, I don't know, you look around the league, there are always like guys like that or playoff series like that where you look back and you're like, okay, it's this guy's in the mix now. It's not a he had decent numbers over 70 games on nights where you're playing the Utah Jazz all the time, right? It's no, this mattered in meaningful basketball, and I think Jacoby's getting there. I think it's pretty close.
I do too. I'm like he is. I'll just be honest. He's the number one reason why like I'm invested in watching these games right now. Where I'm like, ooh, and again, it has nothing to do with not liking some of the other players. It just has more to do with like I'm like, oh, this is much different than what I thought it could have been.
It's also like 10 games into the season this year, I was like, he needs G League time.
Yeah.
And like he was like struggling.
That's what I mean. It's such a huge departure from where I thought he was.
And last year I understood it more because he had the shoulder thing, and then he had another injury last year, and he was like a little up and down. And then this time of year, he was like, oh, it looks great. But like none of those games, like Garrett Temple was playing 30 minutes in some of those games. So it's a little different to have it now where like the intensity of the situation has gone up as the season's gone on. And he did have that hip pointer injury at one point, but came back looking even better. So it's pretty exciting, man.
Yeah, I'm pumped on Jacoby Walter. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. I do want to ask you what you're most excited for this Blue Jay season. That's next.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. That's ziprecruiter.ca/Canada.
Dental hygienists, electricians, photographers, consultants. Thousands of small business owners choose insurance. And here's why. Because Zensurance offers business insurance from $19 per month, 100% online. Be protected. Be Zen.
My water heater bill went up again. Go Lime.
They locked me into a contract I never understood.
Go Lime.
I've been renting for 15 years and I own nothing.
Go Lime.
I called to cancel and they hit me with a buyout fee.
Go Lime.
Whatever they're putting you through, there's 2 words that fix it. Go Lime. Up to 50% less on your monthly water heater rental bill. 8 months free before March 31st. GTA homeowners, search golime.com/radio right now. Terms and conditions apply.
Go Lime.
The legendary Yeti thrives in cold environments.
Just like my Subaru, all-wheel drive is like having an extra pair of Yeti legs.
The Yeti's natural habitat is in colder climates, but it's been spotted all over Canada.
Just like Subaru, we go everywhere, enjoying winter with the little ones. They grow up so fast. Legendary winters await, so hurry into your local Subaru dealer for lease and finance rates as low as 0.5%. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Subaru, uncommon comes standard.
Ontario is helping you keep more of what's yours. We cut gas and fuel taxes, saving households an average of $435. We scrapped the license plate sticker fee, saving you up to $720. We introduced One Fare, saving commuters on average $1,600 each and every year. And since 2018, we've never raised taxes, keeping costs down for families, workers, and businesses across the province. Learn more at ontario.ca/keeping costs down. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please go to connectsontario.ca. T&Cs apply.
Meet iPhone 17e. A whole lot for a lot less. With an almighty, all-powerful A19 chip. And Ceramic Shield 2, built to survive this. And this. And a 48-megapixel fusion camera with 2x optical quality zoom. And double the starting storage of iPhone 16e. And long-lasting battery life for hours of watching the studio.
That's the dream!
And it comes with Apple Intelligence. And you can charge it with USB-C or with MagSafe accessories. And a whole lot more. All for a lot less. Get the new iPhone 17e at Tavis today. Battery life varies by use. Pricing compared to iPhone 17.
Don't miss Rona Week's amazing deals, where what was your wish list is now your shopping list. This weekend only, March 28th and 29th. Get 15% off after your $100 purchase in-store and online. Build it right. Build it Rona. Conditions apply.
Lone Star's new 3 Amigo meals for $14.99. You get chips and salsa, our new double-stacked Big Smash burger with fries, and unlimited pop. Lone Star's new Big Smash. 2 handmade patties, double-stacked with cheese, shredded lettuce, pickles, and secret sauce.
Hold up, did you say chips, salsa, the Big Smash burger and fries, and unlimited pop for $14.99? Woohoo! Someone's getting fired for this.
New 3 Amigo meals for $14.99. Available Monday to Friday, 11 to 3, only at Lone Star.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds, and if you're like me, you never stop wondering what the future holds. The one thing I do know is that you'll be able to enjoy my maple butter glazed donut at Tim Hortons because it's so fluffy and delicious that it'll never come off the menu. Never, ever, ever. Try it today at Tim's.
As Canada stares down economic uncertainty, we're ready with a plan to protect Ontario. We're fighting to defend every job, building new nuclear facilities, speeding up approvals, diversifying our trade, bringing opportunity and good jobs home. Because this province doesn't just sit back, we build. That's how we protect Ontario. Learn more at ontario.ca/protectontario. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
University Health Network has been named the #2 hospital in the world. I'm Kevin Smith, President and CEO of UHN. We're united to create the best care, education, and research. Visit uhnfoundation.ca.
Big plays, big wins, big money. Come on down, Canada, with Howie Mandel. An all-new episode of The Price is Right tonight at 8, 7 Central, tonight on City TV or stream it on City TV+.
Sportsnet 590, The Fan.
Okay, Blake Murphy, let's close out this hour. All right, I lied about what this segment actually is. It's not the thing you're most excited about. It's the story that you're most invested in with this Blue Jay season.
That's most invested. I mean, I guess like obviously the running it back and getting
the
back
results are paramount.
Yeah, I think at a like more micro level, pretty leveraged on Dylan Cease.
Yeah.
I think he was a guy that like at previous deadlines in free agency as a fantasy player, he's always been I think there's more here. And some of that is the underlying stuff's better than the metrics. Some of that is he spent most of his career in a really bad player development organization. The White Sox are not a good like pitching development place. So like the guy with all the tools, could you get more out of him? And I'm not enough of a sucker to buy on spring training stats and things like that. But
I've been suckered on a couple things that I believe in.
The changeup looks really good. Yeah. Going from a 2-pitch starter to like a 4 or 5 pitch starter, I don't actually believe he's going to use 6 pitches in the regular season, no matter what he says. Mm-hmm. But this is a guy who like has finished top 5 in Cy Young voting twice. Mm-hmm. One of those with the White Sox, where again they are like well known as one of the worst pitching development organizations. You drop him into a place that has had, even when the Blue Jays weren't that great overall, and we were still questions about Atkins and Shapiro and stuff like that. The one thing they'd consistently done is veteran free agent starters, keeping them healthy and getting even more out of them than they got elsewhere.
That's a great point.
So you take all that stuff and you take a guy that is just like tools to the nines. Really excited. I did a bold predictions thing the other day, and I said top 3 in Cy Young.
So I love this.
Might lead the AL in strikeouts too.
I adore this. I think that there's a few things with him. One is, as I always say, first impressions matter. So his first outing for the Blue Jays will actually carry a little bit of weight because everyone's getting to look at. That's why Shane Bieber, to me, ended up staying so popular throughout it all. Like, no one talks about him even as a remote.
Was it the Marlins on a Friday night? I was at My Chemical Romance watching it on my phone.
He was unreal. Yeah. And it just totally changed the way that people were viewing the rotation heading into the postseason. First impressions matter, but also, is he going to cut down on the walks?
Yeah.
And is he going to cut down on some of those outings? Because this is the sneaky thing about where the Blue Jays are at with their rotation right now. Because Lauer's out of the bullpen and they don't have the long man, and to me, there are more question marks in the pen than I think we want to really.
But you know me, man. They could have 3 Mariano Riveras, and I would be like,
sure,
Pens doesn't have enough guys.
Well, that's it, though, is you've got Lauer starting now. Yeah. You've got an older Max Scherzer starting now. I think you want to probably be somewhat cautious with, maybe not, but Kevin Gossman's workload as an older pitcher.
I mean, he's pitched more than almost anyone over the last 5-6 years in baseball.
Yeah, so my point is, Dylan Cease has been prone to these outings where he gets blown out of the water early, where he's coming out of games, 4th inning, 5th inning, and early on in the season, I think it's going to be really important for him to be able to carry the mail, look like a starter, cut down on some of those walks, and go a little deeper into the ball game so that he's a bit of a respite for the bullpen, not a guy that's 5 and dive.
And here's the way to capture it. He started 32 or more games 5 years in a row, never touched 190 innings.
Yeah, there you go.
So Gosman level, I post every 5 days, but not a ton of depth there.
Right. So if you're right, and I believe you will be right. Like if you look at the Blue Jays track record with these guys, and like out of him, Gossman, Robbie Ray, right? Yeah. He's the most talented of the group.
Yeah, I mean the quality of the stuff.
Yes. Higher than any of the other guys.
Yeah. When you throw 98, like, yeah, a splitter's great. Robbie Ray had the funkiness and the tunneling and stuff, but like throwing 98 with a vicious slider goes a long way.
That's it. So can you not only be ultimately you're hoping that he's the ace of the staff, and that's not like any shade towards anybody else because they've got a good rotation.
Yeah.
You paid him to come in here and essentially become the ace of this pitching staff, this starting rotation. But the first couple of months of the season, when you're not going to have Bieber, when you're a month away from seeing even, I think, anything to do with Barrios, when you're probably a month away from Trey Savage throwing baseballs and having a slow ramp up.
And your long man is Chase Lee or Spencer Miles.
Bingo. You're going to need this guy to not just shove, but also go a little bit deeper into ball games than he has in the past. And if the Blue Jays can unlock that equation, that's where I think you're going to get the top 3 Cy Young voting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you think about it, right? 33 starts. If you can go 6 innings a pop, even.
That's it. That's it.
And then at his strikeout rate,
7,
like
8 crazy stuff.
Yeah. Like I know like Scooble and Crochet exist and stuff like that. And they're nasty, but like, yeah, if you post every 5th day and you can average close to 6 innings a start, you're going to have the strikeout total. You're going to have, I mean, I think his ERA will pretty safely be under 4. So that's going to keep you, the Jays are going to win a lot of games to the amount that wins still matter for that kind of voting. So
thanks, buddy.
It'd be good. I will say one thing though. The roster is oversaturated on mustaches.
Davis, Cease,
Gosman, Ponce.
Yeah.
Or no, did Ponce go beard now?
Ponce is just beard.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Ponce is beard.
Brendan Little had one at one point.
Yeah, I'm totally in on Brendan Little. I know it's become too popular.
Dude, the Arden piece was so good.
I know,
and I'm
but
just like,
I know.
I know better with a reliever.
I felt like I was on it the first outing, and I was like, okay, I'm buying in on this.
Yeah.
And now he's become everybody's favorite sexy pick out of the bullpen this year. Now I'm like,
Also, like, I'm a sucker for when Arden writes the like sports sciencey stuff. Like, he could sell me on you throwing 95 now.
Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, Blake Murphy. Jays Talk Plus is going to be back with a podcast. Oh, actually, you're going to be doing radio too.
Live show 2 to 3 on Friday.
Right. Okay. So
and then some one-offs until Raptors.
Yeah. So opening day, Blake Murphy on Jays Talk Plus, and of course the Raptors show. Thanks for making time, buddy. Cliff Floyd is next.
Breaking Lotto Max Dream News. With Tuesday's Lotto Max jackpot at an estimated $55 million, plus an estimated 4 Max Millions. Maxed out dreams are rapidly popping up across the country, turning pools into lakefront cottages, boats into super yachts, decks into rooftop spas. It's dreaming like we've never dreamed before. Tuesday's Lotto Max jackpot is an estimated $55 million, plus an estimated 4 Max Millions. Why dream to the min when you can dream to the max?
In Canada, opening a business bank account can take weeks. The fees on your account are endless, and your money earns nothing. Honestly, what the f? We hear you, but your WTF is also why there's Float. Float is a complete finance platform with business accounts that open in minutes, charge 0 fees, and earn up to 4% interest. It's a business account that makes sense and money. So let's take back our WTFs and celebrate why there's Float. Open your account today at floatfinancial.com.
When one dripping chicken sandwich won't do, why not have two?
Pretty good, but what else you got? The audience needs to know these sandwiches from St. Louis Bar and Grill are all you can eat.
When one dripping chicken sandwich won't do, why not have a few?
I like it. That's right. They're big, they're saucy, and they're all you can eat. On for a limited time, our dripping chicken sandwiches are all you can eat for just $18.99. Only at St. Louis Bar and Grill. Dine-in only, taxes extra.
By joining the skilled trades, you'll make a living while making places to live. With over 140 skilled trades to choose from, there's more opportunity than ever to create a stable career for today and tomorrow. Building stronger communities right here in the place we call home. That's how we protect Ontario. Join the skilled trades. Learn more at ontario.ca/skilled trades. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
Let's start the betting off with 1,200. Do I have 1,200?
North Toronto Auction is going all unreserved and everything will be sold. The 2-day public live auction starts this Friday at 9 a.m. with industrial equipment, light commercial vehicles, and non-runners. Then Saturday, cars, trucks, and SUVs, all selling unreserved. Preview the lineup in person Tuesday to Friday.
1,700 going once.
North Toronto Auctions is now part of Euro Auctions. Register at northtorontoauction.com and bid on public vehicle auctions across Canada. Everything will be
sold.
The federal by-elections in Scarborough Southwest and University Rosedale are on Monday, April 13th. Make sure you're registered to vote. If you are, you should get a voter information card in the mail. It tells you where and when you can vote. If you don't get one by March 27th, or if the information on it is incorrect, visit elections.ca. For the official information you need to vote, visit elections.ca or call 1-800-463-6868. It's our vote.
Slip and fall accidents are no laughing matter. Strict notice periods, deadlines, and unreasonable insurance companies only add to your anxiety. At Bergmanis Pereira, we've been fighting and winning cases like these for decades. We understand what you're going through and have a full team standing by to provide compassionate and skilled legal care. I'm Alan Pereira, and I wrote the book on slip and fall accidents, and I'm here to help. Our consultations are always free, and we don't get paid until you get paid. Call the team at Bergmanis Pereira. Expert advice when you need it most. Visit us at bplawyers.ca.
Time to head out the door, but your garage door won't cooperate. One quick call to Precision Garage Door Service and the experts are on site, fast, getting you back on your way. Precision Garage Door Service now proudly serves the GTA with honest pricing, quality workmanship, and service you can truly trust. Visit precisiongarage.ca and experience the precision difference.
Precision Garage Door Service, a name you can trust.
Every great goal starts with a great assist. And on the road, that assist is Yokohama. This season, upgrade your ride with confidence. For a limited time, get an up to $125 rebate when you purchase 4 select Yokohama tires. Plus,
Enter the Play Hard, Drive Safe contest for your chance to win $400 in hockey gear every week. More grip, more control, more confidence for every drive. Yokohama, play hard, drive safe.
Lone Star's new 3 Amigo meals for $14.99. You get chips and salsa, our new double stack Big Smash burger with fries and unlimited pop. Lone Star's new Big Smash. 2 handmade patties, double stacked with cheese, shredded lettuce, pickles, and secret sauce.
Hold up, did you say chips, salsa, the Big Smash burger and fries, and unlimited pop for $14.99? Woohoo, someone's getting fired for this.
New 3 Amigo meals for $14.99. Available Monday to Friday, 11 to 3, only at Lone Star.
Now until Thursday, get 30,000 PC Optimum points when you spend $100 or more on cosmetics at Shoppers Drug Mart. A $30 value. Conditions apply.
CJCL Toronto.
All right, so we're here. It's opening week. There's a game Wednesday? No, Thursday. Like Yankees, Giants, and then we're just in it. I will say that it's a little. I'm thrilled that the Blue Jays are back. I do hate the crossover with March Madness, just from a viewership standpoint. A pure, I love to watch both of those things very closely standpoint. And it's going to take me a bit of adjusting. Because like I'm going to go down to the ballpark on Friday. I don't know how many games I'll take in over the entirety of the weekend. But man, this is sports nirvana for me. Where now we get to pivot off. I don't need to focus on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like I barely need to speak about them. That's great. I just get to talk Blue Jays. I get to watch a sickening amount of college basketball. Again, I really do think I watched a piece of every single game over the first 4 days of March Madness. And now to factor baseball into that diet. And, man, the beginning of the season is so fun to watch all the other teams, too. Like, I basically don't try to get a hold of me for the next few weeks. If you're a friend or a family member, this is an emergency-only situation. Cliff Floyd of MLB Network, 17 seasons in Major League Baseball. He joins me now. What's up, buddy? How we doing? We got you? Oh, I like getting the assistance on the unmute. No, still no. Producers might need to check in on this so that Cliff can actually hear. Yeah. I love the reach over if you're watching it on video for trying to figure out which way it is to get the unmute on the Zoom from the car. Never the place to be. I'm the exact same way. Like my aptitude as someone who's a millennial for all the technology is terrible. I gotta think that in terms of my age group, I am in the bottom 1% when it comes to technical abilities, technological abilities. I can't figure anything out on my own. I'm the number one guy who goes to the IT person and basically has to plead with them to deal with me. Basically has to ask them and beg them to treat me with kindness, because the requests that I'm asking for are things that should be able to be figured out by someone who's like, I'm going to say grade 4. I think if it's like, remember that show Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? If that was a show about technology, if that was a show about how to actually use gadgets or be informed on how anything works or operates, or like even shortcuts, like I got no clue. I'm as hopeless as it's sad, because like, remember when like you would kind of snicker with your grandparents when they would have a tough time with an email, or everybody does with their parents now, right? Where they're trying to figure out their iPhone, but it's something that we've had for a very long time. I'm already that. I'm already the type of person that you're snickering at if they can't get some of those things done. Anyways, again, very busy time of year. Cliff Floyd joins us now. We're going to do this over the phone. Cliff, what's up, buddy? How we doing?
Jay, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. It's one of my favorite times of the year. Like, I get Sweet 16, March Madness basketball, and I get home openers across the board, and basically a sports diet that would kill a lesser man.
No, it's all. Hey, you know what? It's been some really good games in March Madness. I actually this year I was telling my boys, I was like, it's gonna be some upsets because just a lot of these teams didn't separate themselves this season, but to sit down and chill and watch some good basketball, teams fighting for their lives, man, it's always fun. And then, as you mentioned, it's baseball time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this time is so different from a Blue Jays perspective because the last couple of seasons entering the year, it was just a lot of negativity, man. Like, it was the Barrios decision against the Twins and the faltering that the Blue Jays had going into that playoff series. They came out of that where it was like guys like Whit Merrifield speaking openly to the media about how the players didn't know about the decision, how pissed off they were about that decision to pull Barrios early and to go to the bullpen and have Yusei Kikuchi. Well, again, didn't pitch poorly, but it did change the ball game. We had all these big questions about, hey, could Vladdy do it? Hey, is this roster construction solid? Hey, is this the front office to have? You go into the season prior, and what is it? It's missed the playoffs. It's a trade deadline where they're selling pieces. And coming into last year, it was bleak, man. It was just everybody talking about how quickly people are going to turn on this team, how little of a leash that these guys have in terms of fan investment, how people are just so ready to turn the page and try to figure out something new. Now they've got Mark Shapiro in place. Ross Atkins just signed a 5-year deal. The manager just signed a new deal. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is here for 14 seasons. The stability has completely changed. The level of optimism has changed. And from your standpoint as a player, and someone who observes every team in baseball, how different is it when you're just entering a year and everybody's feeling good and everybody's feeling excited and there isn't that presence of people are questioning who you are as a group?
Yeah, doubt crushes everything. I've always said that, but I will say this about that organization. When you actually get players to believe and you can maximize their potential and who they are and what they're about, then you can get the extensions that you just mentioned of the front office and the skipper there and Snide. And so when you think about, how they went about their business, the window was shutting for a while, right? Like, it started to shut on all the talent that was going to. Everybody on the outside was like, well, what happened? Mm-hmm. So then they tried to address the starting pitching. And then when you address the starting pitching, you had bullpen problems. And then when everything started to come together in that aspect, you had, not the level that you needed as far as production-wise from the offense. But when it all clicks, and then you can get to camp and understand what Snyder's talking about as far as, listen, everybody's bought in. And when you buy in, success is around the corner. Because when you have the platoon situation that you had last year, when you dealt with the whole Santander situation, it all allowed guys to step up. And I think that's what you need as far as having a nucleus in place to have stability for a long time and allow these guys to grow one another. And when that happens, you're just an inch away from winning the World Series. But that lasting taste is something you never want to feel again.
Yeah. Again, I'm very optimistic, and there's a lot of reasons for positivity. But from your standpoint, and I know it happened early in your career, but when you get to a World Series and you go on a deep run like that, what's the biggest challenge that faces a team the following year?
Expectations. You know what I mean, Jay? Expectations, man. Everybody expects you to be great again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, things have to come together. I mean, you're already looking at a situation, with Trey Savage,
Trey Savage.
Trey Savage, right? And then you have Barrios, and then you have certain things happening. So when you think about how they've gone about, getting themselves ready for the season, I think the main thing is you can't put too much expectations on anything other than just day by day. Start the season, opening day, just like everybody else. and then you go through the trials and tribulations of what 162 is.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in camp already this season. I got to camp in spring training, and I think the biggest thing I took from that camp was, damn, they ready to go out there and do this again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I left with. You leave with something every camp. You don't know what camp is going to have this. You know what camp is, the manager has to say, hey, you know what, we starting a new regime, or we doing this and we doing that. And you leave and go, oh, they'll be sub 500. I left that camp. I talked to Smack for about an hour after we was on TV, and I was just like, damn, this team is ready to do it. Now, this is before all the injury stuff came out. But I still feel like they're prepared to deal with the adversity that most teams are not.
Yeah. Well, it helps a lot that they're very tight and that there's so many returning players, right? There's not a huge amount of turnover with this team.
Right.
And the turnover that they do have was injecting a lot of talent, right? You added a Dylan Cease and you go, okay, well, this is probably pretty good for you. You added to the bullpen, you got Rogers, who was stepping in for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic in huge leverage spots and making guys look stupid with that like low velocity arm angle that he throws from, and feeling like, okay, that's going to add more stability to your team. I think a lot of people are excited about Okamoto. It doesn't look like there's huge drop-off points outside of really losing Bo Bichette and trying to replace his offense. But when you're saying like, hey, I'm at spring and I'm seeing that these guys are ready, they're willing to deal with these expectations, what do you like attribute that to? Like, what is the thing that you were noticing from that team that made you feel that way?
Well, I think one is it's blatant. It's stand. It's like smacking you dead smack in the faces. Vladdy has grown up. Vladdy's a grown man. You know what I mean? Like, you need that. You need to have dudes that when they walk through the doors, everybody in there goes, okay, we good today. Now that's a lot of expectations on Vlad. There's a lot of, things that come with the fact that, how Vlad has gone up and down as far as offensively and things like that. But I think now he's stable. I think now, not the contract, just him. The last person I saw on that top dugout step when they lost to the Dodgers in the World Series was Vlad.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked him about it in spring, and he was like, I never want to feel that ever again in my life. And so when you have that from your star player, should trickle down to the rest. And when you have the system in place, that they have in place, I think it allows them to say, hey, whatever I need to do to get back to the World Series, I'll do, period. And that's ultimately what you want at the end of the day. You don't want anything else. When you're preparing for a season, the bottom line is if you're not ready to go to this foxhole with me and win a World Series, then you probably shouldn't be here. I don't think anybody in that room feels like they're not ready to go down that foxhole as a unit.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Vlad. And you talk about expectations. This is one of the reasons to feel optimistic. That's what he's had his entire career. Like, his name is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So every level of baseball that this guy has ever played, it came with the implication of you've got to be a star player. So I think that he's handled that well. But early on last year, he struggled out of the gate. He had just signed the new contract extension. It was 14 years. It was a huge amount of money. And he got off to a bit of a slow start. This time around, he just went to the postseason and he proved that he is one of the best players in Major League Baseball, right? Like, he raked through the entirety of that thing. He was a terrifying bat for every single opponent that he faced. And then he goes to the World Baseball Classic, plays for his country, and was arguably their best hitter throughout the World Baseball Classic. And I got to think that there's some measure of confidence that's coming with him where you're going, all right, I'm living up to the name. All right, I am that guy. All right, the player that everybody hoped that I could be, I've now arrived and I've become him. And the point of curiosity for me in terms of like what you just mentioned is, Vladdy having to be the leader of this team now is a real story, because George Springer's on the last year of his contract, and I think he's like 36 years old, approaching 37. Bo Bichette is gone. That's someone that he handled part of the weight with, that took a lot of the responsibility in terms of the discussions around this team, the discussions around the star power of this team. This is now firmly Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s team, but it's also coming at a time where he's played the best baseball of his career. And do you think that success is going to unlock something different in him?
Success is what motivates most of us, but I think it's the fear of failure that takes the best to the top. I think that's what Vlad's at. Vlad has gone through the trials and tribulations that I mentioned, right? So when you have that, I think the biggest thing is, how do I never feel that again?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can get the contract. All that stuff is fine and dandy and is great. And don't get it twisted. $500 million.
Yeah,
you can say, you know what, whatever happens, you happen, right? Like, I don't care. I mean, if it doesn't bother you. But I think the passion that he has and what he came out with and how we talked for a little bit, it just allows you to appreciate dudes that don't say, hey, you know what, bro, I got my bread, now I can just chill right off to the sunset. No, it ain't how it rolls. It's something about feeling the passion of the fans. When I was in that stadium, it was different, and that's what you should feel. I go back to when I was playing. If it ain't swaying, if the stadium ain't moving, then it ain't real. That place was moving. And when you have a dude like Vlad and what he brings to the table, that's one less dude you have to worry about, and that's your superstar. So if I'm Snyder and I take this deal and I'm super happy about where I'm at, it's based on what I have in that clubhouse that allows me to not have to police it and know that I got some dogs in there that's going to fight for me every night. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get that. You got to be a great leader of men. And when you actually get a hold of that and the boys respond to you, then you get the extension. Then you get to sit back and go, now I don't have to worry about anything else. My family's straight. I just got to get these boys back to the top. I think that's what they're striving for.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I was actually excited they brought Max Scherzer back. Is I just wanted more dogs in the clubhouse, and it's not that they didn't have enough already, but just keeping those personalities around where there's an urgency of a veteran who, like, the manager went to Max Scherzer in Game 7 before Shohei Ohtani's at bat and asked for his advice in terms of the way that they were going to handle that moment, whether they were going to pitch to him or not. And I think that there's an added value in that too, where it's like you've got Vladdy entering this phase of his career, this new phase of his career where he's more confident. Like you mentioned, he's got his money. He feels like a leader. He feels confident in his game. You've got a team that is very full of guys that are extremely hungry to get back to that spot. Dogs, as you do mention, it's throughout the entire team. But also they brought back a piece in Max Scherzer who is, you got to imagine this is the last year for Max. Like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Him and Verlander just refuse. Like, they're trying to outdo each other in terms of who's going to be their last man standing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so maybe they just keep going. But I do love having that extra guy in there where it's like, hey, we don't have more years of this. Like, hey, it has to be now. And having someone with his pedigree back and filling out that room, I think is going to be really important in terms of replicating what they had last year in the playoff run.
Yeah, that's the key, right? Like, it's always about piecing that puzzle together, right? Mm-hmm. So when you Ross and you putting this thing together, you're asking everybody, like, is this a good move to bring Max back? What does he bring to the table? Is he a guy to give you just innings? No, he's a clubhouse presence, a dude that's won, a dude that can talk to you about, the preparation is going to take. That can talk to a Dylan Cease who's going into a situation of a big deal. That's trying to not let that overcome him and take him down paths of like, oh, can I be the guy that gets this deal and takes on this big responsibility? All these things. So I think when you go about how they went about their off season, you have to be careful because you're so close and you never want to lose that again. Mm-hmm. And when you get to this point, it's like, okay, what's the last piece? And as we saw, Max was our last piece. It's like, okay, let's bring this dude back. He fits. He's a piece that fits. And I think that makes so much sense when you think about, how precise you have to be with all these decision makings at the end of camps and whoever had a good spring and blah, blah, blah. It's like, who's the guys that I can count on when I get the game, past game 162? And that's bottom line how I've seen it throughout my career, how I've kind of focus on afterwards and looking at how these rosters are, put together. I'm like, this is it. Mm-hmm. I get it now. And we don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, nobody does. Sure. But I think you can always just put yourself in position to go, we're prepared for 162. But what after that? That's what I'm looking at. Because if you don't get there, of course, that's a failure. But let's talk about what's going to happen if we don't have Trey and we don't have Jose for a little while. Can we hold down the fort? That's what you always got to prepare for.
I think that they are well suited for that right now. The question becomes with where their rotation is, if there's even more injuries, right? Like, You look at their 5, and their 5th starter is Eric Lauer, who post All-Star break last year was arguably their best guy before they bumped him out and they tried to do the weird 6-man thing and threw everybody off and then tried to pull him into the bullpen and then back out of the bullpen. Like, if he's your 5th guy to open the season, I think that you're fine. The bigger question to me is going to be, like, this is a lineup that had so much production last year. They lose Bo Bichette, who was unbelievable before the injury. Like, I do think that people have overlooked maybe his impact in terms of the regular season because he wasn't there for the playoffs up until the World Series. It just in terms of like what he brought on a day-to-day basis and a team that, makes contact and that being Bo's primary skill set. But this lineup, again, it's deeper, but there isn't still a ton of obvious power. Is that your biggest question when it comes to this lineup, is like who's going to hit bombs?
You know what? If there's one thing I've cared about or didn't care about for a long time is, man, can you hit?
Mm-hmm.
Can you can you work a count? Can you go up and understand the situation? Is your IQ good enough to understand the situations that arise throughout a game? I don't need homers. I need production. I need a battle of a bat, understanding, this pitch on the mound, we can get to the bullpen, then we have a chance to win this game tonight. Like, all these little things play. So if I got baseball IQ type dudes, I'm fine.
Which they have.
Yeah, you need some bombs, which they do. And then what you say is, okay, am I excited about Varsho having a great spring? Yes. Great spring. Cool. Get some homers. But I think the biggest thing for me is, can they understand situations and platoon situations and all these things that I think are important? Because when I was on a team that had the platoon situations going on perfectly fine, and they had the everyday players, we won the World Series in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, Jay? So you have to understand players you have, and then once you get the understanding of them, they know what their role is too. Hey, it's a righty pitching today. I know I'm playing because I'm lefty. Okay, we don't have Santander. Okay, cool. So then I know I'm playing a little bit more than I typically would play, but now I can't put the pressure on myself to try to make up the production that we thought he was going to bring. So all these things play into how you go about winning every single night. Not about winning the World Series. It's winning every single night the way it's going to be consistent. That word gets thrown out so loosely because this game is really hard to be consistently good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think guys need to chill out a little bit and understand, like, hey, once we get these guys to believe in themselves consistently every single night, now we rolling, and we don't have to worry about that balloon of a loss column where we get 10 in a row and you're trying to figure out things on the fly and it's just not happening.
I know you're at the airport and you got to roll, so I'll just ask you one more question. What do you put into spring numbers? Like, you mentioned Varsho's hot start, and he's been unbelievable. Like, his OPS, the damage that he's doing, it's awesome to see that. You see guys like Jesus Sanchez, who, has not really been able to put a charge into the baseball, and like his OPS, I think sub 600 in spring. Like, what is your stock level when it comes to stuff like that?
I think you have to have a watchful eye on how guys look.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's always tough to understand, how these things work, because you can look at a guy's camp. Let's just go right across the way in the American League East.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Dominguez. He had a great spring, right?
Yep.
Well, what happened? Get sent down. So it ain't like I think matchups play, Jay. I think certain things you have, the eye test is going to give you a lot about what a guy's doing and how he's doing and how he's going about his way of being successful and how does it help the team. You got to look at the head. When the head drops, is the head dropping for reasons that he feels like he's, depleted, like he can't figure it out. All these things play. So if you get a good feel of a guy and he's doing what he needs to do, then he's coming. He's coming north with you. But if you have a feel of a guy and it's like, I don't know, this is going to be sus a little bit, then, it may take a little bit more time to be successful. I just don't think you put all your eggs in a basket for spring training and say, well, he hit 210,
Mm-hmm.
It looked like crap, and he ain't coming with us. No, I don't think that's fair.
Cliff, again, safe flight today, buddy. I'm really excited that you're going to be a big part of the show this year. We'll talk to you soon, man.
No doubt. Thank you for having me, brother.
Yep. Take care, man. Cliff Floyd, 17 years in the bigs, and of course, analyst for MLB Network. He'll be a regular on the show this season, which I'm really pumped about because I think that he's one of the best voices in the sport, and yeah, this team deserves as many of those as they can possibly get, as especially the way that things are going. And honestly, his answer on Vladdy is so encouraging. Because it's one thing for us as fans to want that to be the case, right? You want to believe that your star players are hyper invested, and you want to believe that the best guys want to be that every single day. But if we're just being real here, and maybe a lot of it was unfair. I don't know. Some of it seemed fair at the time, feels a little less so now. Either way, people did wonder about Vladdy's commitment. There's a reason why it took till the 11th hour of his final year under the contract to get the extension. And you can quibble with that, and you can say, hey, that's the front office's fault. They should have got this thing done earlier. They should have made that decision. They should have known who he was because that's who he became. But we talked about this many times. Hey, is he preparing his body the right way? Is he taking this serious enough? Is he ready to lead? And of course, he's a younger player, but that's what we do with younger players who haven't proven that thing yet. Like that's the talk, is when you've got that kind of pedigree, what kind of player are you going to become? Are you going to become a leader? And it really does feel, watching that World Series, hearing guys like Cliff, who again spent 17 seasons in the big leagues, going down to a spring training and feeling like the guy has a presence, and the guy that when he's speaking to him saying things like, I don't want to feel that again, that it resonates, that it doesn't feel inauthentic. Because, like, again, his BS meter is going to be way better than anybody else's. Like, it just is. He's been there before. He's seen 17 seasons of players around him who have, and all those years in the media, all those different camps that he's gone to. Guys who have told him, yeah, this is the way that I feel. And again, we get caught up in a lot of these quotes with spring training where you say, it's always the time of year where everybody has optimism. It's always the time of year where everybody's in the best shape. It's always the time of year where guys are going to focus on adding more walks to their repertoire. That was the whole bit that we did with New Pilar, right? And Ennis and I, back on the Day on Good Show, was, oh, the guy got a pitching machine. Oh, he got LASIK eye surgery. Oh, there's this, there's that. But to resonate with a veteran of the game like that, to say what this guy is communicating to me and the presence that he's exuding seems to be at a level where you leave that feeling as though they are going to be able to replicate their results last season. It feels big. And that's why the World Baseball Classic thing was so interesting to me. Like, he didn't just go there and feel like one of the guys. He felt like the guy on a team with Soto, on a team with Tatis. Vladdy came up, did damage, was scary, was terrifying, and hit in big spots at the World Baseball Classic. It does feel like there's momentum from that player. And I know we always debate that, right? Like, is momentum real, game to game, blah, blah, blah. I think confidence is real. And I think that the way that you feel about yourself in the world is real. And for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to have had all of this pressure, to have all of these question marks, to have had all of these seasons where coming into it, it was, what are you getting out of this guy? And now to transform that into, this is one of the stars of the game. This is someone who has shown up in big moments. This is a guy who had an unbelievable World Series run. This is a guy who just represented his country and raked. Tough to say that we're overstating it right now. Really is. It really does feel that way to me. Like, I would be fairly surprised if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. started the season this year like he did the last one. And that you got to feel emboldened at the idea that this guy feels ready to take on more responsibility with this team from a leadership standpoint, because that was always the way it was going to have to be when you hand a guy that kind of a contract. Just is. So, yeah, like, again, I asked Blake Murphy the thing that you're most invested in, and he talked about Dylan Cease. And I'm going to do my preview with Ennis. We'll do a proper one this week. But, man, it's hard not to feel like, weirdly, despite being the guy who most people wear the jersey of now, right? The player that all the kids look up to, the player that did just come off of a World Series run, that there's more to give there. And yet it really does feel like he's going to have a regular season where he gives more. Anyways, you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple or on Spotify. You can reach out anytime on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis. A lot more baseball this week. Again, happy opening day week. Oh, so sweet. So sweet that it's here. Felt like it actually went by in a blip. I thought it was going to be forever before we got baseball back, and here we are. All right, quick break. We'll hit what we missed. Little acts of kindness in a time when it seems everything is hopeless is one small way to make things better. And one simple act you can take today to have a direct and immediate impact on your community is donating blood at your nearest Canadian Blood Services donation center. This small act can save multiple lives, and the need is always there and can bring a sense of contribution to a world in need of solutions. Choose a moment of hope today. Make a donation appointment by visiting blood.ca, the Give Blood app, or call 1-888-2-DONATE.
Leafs and Bruin, we've got the game. Tonight at 7 on your home of the Leafs, Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
I finished a 5K in 94th place, right after a man wearing jeans. Then a volunteer gave me a medal. But I don't want participation trophies, unless they're from Bet365. With their daily prize matcher game, I win by matching gold coins, cherries, and more. Take that, denim man. Thanks, Bet365. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please go to connectsontario.ca. T&Cs apply.
Great goal! Let's go to Dave at the bench.
Oh, what a shot, Gord. Last time we spoke, you had been really tired. Not anymore.
Yeah, snoring all night. Losing sleep ruins your game.
Problem snoring? Suffer from sleep apnea? Invest in yourself. Call Dr. Paulette Pillersdorf. She'll use her laser to help treat your snoring and oral appliance like a sports mouth guard for your sleep apnea. Your partner will thank you.
Thanks, Gord.
Book your appointment with Dr. Paulette Pillersdorf. Call 647-243-2006.
The legendary Yeti thrives in cold environments.
Just like my Subaru, all-wheel drive is like having an extra pair of Yeti legs.
The Yeti's natural habitat is in colder climates, but it's been spotted all over Canada.
Just like Subaru, we go everywhere, enjoying winter with the little ones. They grow up so fast. Legendary winters await, so hurry into your local Subaru dealer for lease and finance rates as low as 0.5%. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Subaru, uncommon comes standard.
Ontario is helping you keep more of what's yours. We cut gas and fuel taxes, saving households an average of $435. We scrapped the license plate sticker fee, saving you up to $720. We introduced One Fare, saving commuters on average $1,600 each and every year. And since 2018, we've never raised taxes, keeping costs down for families, workers, and businesses across the province. Learn more at ontario.ca/keepingcostsdown. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
Spring has arrived, and it's the perfect time to elevate your drive at Alta Infinity. Right now, lease the 2026 QX60 for just $399 bi-weekly, plus tax and licensing with no money down. With refined luxury, advanced technology, and confident all-wheel drive, the QX60 is ready for every road ahead this season. Visit Alta Infinity at the number 7 Auto Mall near Highway 7 and 427, or explore our inventory online at altainfinity.com. Alta Infinity, luxury, performance, and innovation in every drive.
Part of the Zankin Auto Group.
You gotta try breakfast at A&W. You gotta try breakfast at A&W. Enjoy A&W's bacon and egg and coffee for just $4.99. It's for a limited time. You gotta try breakfast at A&W.
At participating A&W locations in Ontario.
Meet iPhone 17e, a whole lot for a lot less, with an almighty all-powerful A19 chip, and Ceramic Shield 2, built to survive this, and this, and a 48-megapixel fusion camera with 2x optical quality zoom, and double the starting storage of iPhone 16e, and long-lasting battery life for hours of watching the studio.
That's the dream!
And it comes with Apple Intelligence, and you can charge it with USB-C, or with MagSafe accessories, and a whole lot more, all for a lot less. Get the new iPhone 17e at Bell today. Battery life varies by use. Pricing compared to iPhone 17.
Don't miss Rona Week's amazing deals, where price tags aren't the only things changing. What was your wish list is now your shopping list. What was a dream bathroom is now your bathroom. So head to Rona from March 26th to April 8th. Build it right. Build it Rona.
This March, experience Lincoln. Toronto Lincoln dealers invite you to discover the luxurious Lincoln Aviator, Nautilus, or Navigator. You'll enjoy an exclusive Conquest bonus of up to $3,000, making it the perfect moment to experience Lincoln's renowned comfort and experience. And for your convenience, no trade-in is required. And when you drive a Lincoln, you'll receive complimentary services, including premium Lincoln loaner vehicles during service, because luxury should never be interrupted. Visit Toronto Lincoln dealers Lakedealers.com today and elevate your drive.
Lone Star's new 3 Amigo meals for $14.99. You get chips and salsa, our new double stack Big Smash burger with fries, and unlimited pop. Lone Star's new Big Smash. 2 handmade patties, double stacked with cheese, shredded lettuce, pickles, and secret sauce.
Hold up, did you say chips, salsa, the Big Smash burger and fries, and unlimited pop for $14.99? Woohoo! Someone's getting fired for this.
New 3 Amigo meals for $14.99. Available Monday to Friday, 11 to 3, only at Lone Star.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds, and if you're like me, you never stop wondering what the future holds. The one thing I do know is that you'll be able to enjoy my maple butter glazed donut at Tim Hortons because it's so fluffy and delicious that it'll never come off the menu. Never, ever, ever. Try it today at Tim's.
Big plays, big wins, big money. Come on down, Canada, with Howie Mandel. An all-new episode of The Price is Right tonight at 8, 7 Central. Tonight on City TV or stream it on City TV+.
Sportsnet 590, The Fan.
I'm in full college basketball withdrawal. Oof. To go from the intensity of those 4 nights to Raptors Jazz. And now tonight, Leafs talk. Gonna have John Gallant on the show tonight of Billy Talent, which is fun. Same here, I'm gonna start mixing in more guests because it was so funny. He actually texted us. He's like, hey, so you guys just take notes? And it was like, you want me to say? I was like, you don't need to take it that seriously, brother. This is not going to be a high leverage moment for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Although I will say this, like tonight is the Bruins, right?
Yep.
Tomorrow, Rangers. Important stretch for all the wrong reasons with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Anyway, yeah, God, Get me to Thursday. Get me to Thursday where I get a baseball game, where I get college basketball back, and then knowing that Friday night I get to be back down at the beautiful Rogers Center, enjoying God's team, the Toronto Blue Jays. Oh, it's so sweet. It's so sweet to be back. And I'll tell you this, I already got people walking back this take, which was people doing the woe is me when the Blue Jays lost, which, again, it was crushing. I said it at the time. That's going to be a loss that you remember for the rest of your life. The Blue Jays win a World Series, and you'll feel better about it. You'll feel the joy of that moment. But I can just tell you that I've gone through this now as a Seahawks fan, where they beat the Patriots. They got the revenge this year. I won a Super Bowl. I did it. And I felt a tremendous amount of happiness when they won. But guess what? I still think about Russell Wilson, Malcolm Butler. I still do. It's still a thought. It's still in there. The pain will never subside. It just exists. So, but the take I got from people was like, I don't know when I'll be able to go back. I don't know. It's going to take me some time. I just feel like it's going to be an issue. I will say this. Sportsnet advertising department. Don't beat us over the head. Like, it sucks that they play the Dodgers so quickly at the very beginning of the season that it's going to still be very much in the trauma zone. I think that it's like the second or the end of the first week of April. I think it's like April 6th through 8th are the Dodgers games. Maybe it's off. Maybe I'm off.
I think it's earlier than that.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. Those are going to be hard times. Those are going to be hard times because all you're going to see is highlight after highlight after highlight of things that could have happened. We're going to be doing ball stuck in the wall. We're going to be doing IKF. We're going to be doing Barger ABs. It's not going to be fun. That part will not be fun. But the first two, is it the third series of the season? That's the Dodgers?
It's the fourth.
Fourth.
So they are here. Dodgers are in Toronto.
A's,
April 6th.
Rockies, who?
White Sox.
White Sox. God, you gotta win games right out of the gate.
Yeah.
This can't be a slow start to the season. I know last year was, and they still made it to the World Series, but to me, the division is way better. And yeah, you've got some question marks coming in terms of the rotation. It would be great if they could be going into that Dodgers series and be like how standing watch is going to start at the very beginning of the year this year. That's the way it goes. It is what it is. It's going to take us 2 months before these games actually just feel like regular season games and that people are, missing the odd one. But for now, everybody's going to be tuned in. Everybody's going to be watching these games. I can't wait to see what the ratings are in terms of like the actual interest in this baseball team. I'm usually not a big ratings guy. Like I don't really care about the TV rating stuff, just in terms of when people show me the numbers, I'm like the contextual stuff with it. I like seeing sports growing. I like seeing when the numbers are higher than they were the year before, and that's an exciting place for baseball to be. That's an exciting place for the Blue Jays to be. But normally, I'm not a huge ratings person, but I am very curious to see what they're like at the very beginning of the season for the first month, especially if the Blue Jays open it up red hot, and how much carryover there's going to be in terms of the intensity from the fan base. And yeah, Cliff mentioned how if the stadium ain't swaying, it ain't real. I think that the stadium's going to be rocking like all season long. The Jays are good. If the Jays can, that's what I'm saying about the start. If the Jays are very good and the entire year is you got to come down because they're in the World Series chase and it isn't the postseason chase, it isn't huge lulls, they're going to deal with lulls. Like that's the way it works in baseball. But I really do believe that the Rogers Center is going to carry an advantage for this team all season long and that people are going to be pumped up to be in there. People are going to be invested when they're in the stadium. And it's going to be an awesome, awesome, awesome atmosphere from basically tip to tail. Anyway, Brandon Brown, what did we miss?
You brought up your Seahawks. They made a pretty substantial move yesterday, re-signing, the reigning offensive player of the year in Jackson Smith and Jigba. 4 years, $168.6 million, largest ever for a receiver. I think it was Jamar Chase last year. Got a deal around $140. So what do you think about the deal? You like having? I think this doesn't even kick in for the next couple of years.
No, it kicks in a year from now.
Yeah,
so
you
it's
have
final year on his. I think it's $20-some million on a 5th-year option.
Yep. So you got him now under contract for the next 5 years. I mean, you got to be feeling pretty good about this.
Well, yeah, it's you got one of the best players in football for the entirety of his prime. Yeah. Like I think he'll be 29 when this deal is up, and you got to feel great about that. So I'm happy. I don't see any scenario where you would be upset by re-signing a top-tier talent. Their receiver room is very expensive right now. The Shaheed signing to me for the Seahawks is actually a little bit more important. Not in the sense of for your franchise, but the bigger question mark for me is like they basically chose Shaheed over Kenneth Walker. And to me, that question is going to be nitpicked over depending on what Shaheed looks like for the entirety of the season. Because the Seahawks got a lot out of him in the return game. He had some big moments. He was very, very close to a huge one in the Super Bowl where he would have caught a very, very, very big pass. But Christian Gonzalez made one of the best plays of the game. He was unreal for the Patriots in that one. It's like kind of a lost performance from him. But they didn't get enough out of him in the receiving part of the game. They didn't. They just his yards per game were pretty low. It felt like there were some times where they hit him on some good hitter plays, but ultimately you got a new offensive coordinator that's in there, and you're spending a lot of money on your receivers. I need the passing game to be a little less purely focused on JSN the way that it was a year ago. Like Cooper Kupp is a year older, and I'm not really sure how much you're going to be leaning on him outside of the veteran presence stuff and the odd big catch, the odd big play. They got a rookie from last year that people are excited about taking a step the following season. But to me, like, you know what you're getting. Those are the types of players that you're happy paying for, is the guys that you know what the production is going to be. Like, I don't have any questions about JSN. I know what he is. I know how great he is. Is he going to have a season as great as the one that he just had? I would say probably not, given the history of the league. But if he's in around those figures, then you're feeling great about it. And in fact, I would probably feel a little better knowing that some of the numbers came down because the other guys were contributing more. So that's what I'm saying about the Shaheed element of this is like, I really want to feel that he's more than just a deep ball guy, that they can figure out ways to incorporate him in the passing game where it's like bubble screens, yards after the catch stuff, let him get out in space and run. Can he run some other routes? He was effective with the Saints, and he was not nearly as effective in the receiving game as he was with the Seahawks. Now he's at a full camp. Now he's got a new offensive coordinator. They've got to make him more of a focal piece because it's a weak running back class. Seattle's got Charbonnet coming off an injury. They signed the guy, like the third stringer from Green Bay. I can't even remember what his name is. But that doesn't seem like enough for me. Yeah, they got one of the Packers guys. Like I think he was the backup last year, but he was the third string the year before that. I can't remember his name. Either way, that's a big loss, losing Kenneth Walker. I don't know if they're going to be able to replace that in the draft without hitting some kind of a freak home run. That happens. But last year was a super deep running back class. This year, it's not the same way. There's basically Jeremiah Love at the very top, and then there's a huge drop-off for the rest of the class.
Emmanuel Wilson.
That's it. Emmanuel Wilson, who's got some like fancy stat numbers that the league really likes. But ultimately, if you lose a centerpiece of your offense, which Kenneth Walker became for the playoffs, and Shaheed doesn't hit for them, then it's going to be talked about like maybe you were better off spending that money on the running back, which is usually a rarity in sports. But I really don't want it to turn into the Saquon Barkley conversation where you go, God, you probably should have just paid that guy. Anyways, what's next?
The Nuggets' Spencer Jones had kind of a tough week. He had a couple of game winners shot over him. Luka and Shea, both hit game winners over him last week. So he made a kind of a motivational LinkedIn post about this. Did you see this? And
No.
Did you have any thoughts on what he kind of thought about?
No, I didn't see it. What did he say?
Well, basically, he just said that he kind of attributed it almost like guys do when they're making a post for a new job. So kind of took it to his...
So he's making a joke?
Yeah, he said kind of everybody wants the moment. Nobody talks about being on the wrong side of it. He said that's the part nobody signs up for, but it comes with the job.
Why is he doing this on LinkedIn is what I want to know.
I guess that's his app of choice. So that was kind of the question is what is your kind of, what's the worst kind of social media app to kind of get personal on, I would say?
All. Don't get personal on any social media app. This is just not good. It's not good behavior. I think that it's fine to show a level of gratitude for your friends and family when it comes to Instagram, when you're doing little posts like that. Like, hey, that's fine. I do think that the post for especially people that aren't on social media, like when you're doing posts for your grandparents or for your parents, and they're not necessarily on there, and you're doing like the tagging for their birthdays and such, like, yeah, maybe just give them a call. That seems more about you than it does about them. Maybe do something for them that goes beyond the post. I just don't think it's good to, personally, I think that trying to get that way on social media, that seems more like a joke to me, though. Like, that doesn't seem too serious. That doesn't seem like anything of real significance. I'm just surprised that people still use LinkedIn, if I'm being quite honest. Like, I would say, if I had to guess, first of all, LinkedIn is over for me because there's just no way I could ever, maybe I could recover the password, but there's no way that I know the password. It's certainly not saved into my passkey. I'm going to guess that my last LinkedIn entry would have been somewhere around the 2016 range when it was kind of taken off, and it felt like this important networking tool. I remember adding so many people that I had like loose. I thought it was going to be a big producer tool for me.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like I could, when I was a producer, like early on as a host, I could reach out to different people using LinkedIn and get them to come do shows because everybody was on there and everybody was jumping in, and it felt like a way to reach out to people professionally. But now, like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't think that people are really. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not Mr. Social Media. Maybe people are still using it like crazy. Do you even have a LinkedIn profile?
I do have a LinkedIn. I use it, I'd say, more
You
so.
use it?
I don't necessarily post on it, but I definitely am on there looking at people that, like, especially when I started working here, connecting with a lot of people. So it's more so, seeing who's around, who's doing different things. I think a lot of people are still using it for just kind of, like their own, putting out their own professional goals and their own achievements. And honestly, it's not really a tool for me.
I feel like you're on there. It's like Facebook, where you're on there with
kind of scrolling.
No, I just mean like Facebook feels as though it's become, there's 25 people that are on there and they're posting with regularity. Yeah. And it's that same circle of 25 people that are just feeding into each other, writing messages to each other, and that's it. That LinkedIn would probably have the same feel, which is you might be posting about your accomplishments, but it's the same 25 people who are just using LinkedIn and refuse to give up on it that are congratulating you on those things or noticing those things, that it's not the greater public at large. Because again, I can't think of a single person that I know. And granted, I'm in media. So it's a little different in media to be having a LinkedIn profile and feeling like there's a need for it. You're already a public facing figure. You're not, I don't think that's the way that you network in media, is through a LinkedIn app. Maybe it was at the very beginning. I did have guys that were like interns or starting their careers that would reach out to me that way, but now they'll just do it through Instagram.
Yeah.
Like you're way more likely to do it through an Instagram message to someone or a Twitter DM than you are, say, using LinkedIn. Like, I can't. Are you going to get a reply from someone if you send them a LinkedIn message? I would guess no.
A lot of spam messages on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, okay. That's what the feel is that I kind of remember that vaguely as feeling like you would get recruiters messaging you things.
A lot of that.
But it was for a recruiting service, and you go, I don't even think you checked what it is that I do here.
Like,
So
hey,
yeah, no, I'm not a LinkedIn guy. I'm surprised that, how old is he, Spencer Jones?
24.
24?
There it is.
Yeah. Armin, you use LinkedIn?
I use LinkedIn.
Wow. Of course you
Not
do.
a lot,
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
You're
but
still on it.
I'll check on there once in a while.
You'll
especially
check
in
on there.
university, it did feel important. What I don't like about LinkedIn nowadays is that it's really a place where if someone you don't know adds you, and people do that. They
Yeah,
just
of course.
Casually be
That's
adding
what I
people
did.
or, like, following
I had so many people that would add me to that, and I would add every single
I
one
want
of
a
them.
job opportunity. Someone goes to your page and I follow you, but I don't know you. So, like, why are you adding me when I don't know you?
But that's
my main-
because that was the whole point. The whole premise was that was a networking tool, that was like the way that you could meet new people
right. But just
in a
'cause you
professional
went
setting.
to, like, the same university as me, I don't know who you are. Like,
Yeah, but when you go to the same university as someone, there's supposed to be like a little bit of a vouching that, maybe you had the same professors, maybe you had some people that were in the building that would vouch for those guys.
same year.
That's why
or
Brandon's here.
close, I agree, but like the younger generations, I'm skeptical.
I'm skeptical. Oh, you're already doing the thing that I do, which is doubting the younger guys? Are you becoming Unk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gen Alpha. Coming for you.
You're already, I guess Gen Z is entering Unk phase. You guys are getting there where like there's a new crop of guys coming up and you're like, oh, they don't do it like we did it. Yeah, okay, this is great. I'm actually all for that development in your life. I will say this is like, I got no problem with someone adding me on LinkedIn. I'm guessing if I opened it up, I'd have many requests.
I think so.
Given that it's been a decade since I've actually used the app. Not to brag or anything. Everybody trying to be my LinkedIn friend. So many LinkedIn friend requests. I just think that now there's way better ways about like going about it. I would check to see if I was going to use it as a tool now. If I was like, all right, I'm going to use LinkedIn. I would be looking to see if someone's page was active. And if they were super active, then I would think to reach out to them there. But for the most part, yeah, if you don't see any updates on somebody's profile, why would you ever want to reach out there? But yeah, just like I said, I think that it's a very small echo chamber now for a very small select group of people. And that Instagram has replaced the app messaging in terms of stranger you don't know trying to reach out for a favor or try to get an in with the business and figure out if they can email you about something.
Also, like the premium killed it, like many other apps. It's like once it became a premium model.
That's how they all work, though.
Actually network. It's like, oh, let me just pay to network now. Great.
Yeah. Man, that's one thing that I'm really not good at is networking. It's as soon as you try to put a label on it, as soon as you try to make it like this is networking, and there would be people I knew that would join like Soho Club and they were like, you should come to this thing because of the networking opportunities. And I was like, nah, I don't have the energy for that. If you want to invite me to a party and I happen to meet some people there by happenstance, great. If there's a media function and I happen to meet somebody there, but going in it with the set goal of I'm here to network has never rubbed me the right way personally. It feels not good. And I'm not trying to cast aspersions. If that's what you do, if you're a networker, congrats. You have a skill set. That's a real skill to have. But for me, as soon as someone says, we should do this for the networking opportunity, the networking capability, then I'm checked out. That's probably the worst pitch you can give me in order to get me to go somewhere to do something. Once I feel like I have to be on, like in a different way, where this now feels important to the business, no, not for me. Can't do it.
At the beginning of your career, they really make it like you have to force it a bit because you don't know people, and they really make it feel like this is it for you. Like,
nah,
you
but that's
better
it.
network.
But that's it. It's never really that urgent. I'm just a believer in if you do good work, people will find you. Rather than you having to reach out to people before you've actually accomplished something and try to sell them on you. And like, even the same thing happens to me with interns. And I've talked to you guys about this. Like when I have guys come in, I'm like, what do you want to do? They're like, I want to be a writer. I'm like, oh, let's see your writing. And they're like, oh, I haven't written anything since college. I'm like, well, you're not a writer. You're not writing. Oh, I want to be a podcaster. Oh, do you have a podcast with you and your friends? Do you have an amateur podcast? Are you like trying to do this? Like we have the technology now at home to be able to get this thing done. Like, that's the better way than reaching out to someone and being like, how do I become you? Or how do I become a professional in this industry without actually showing any proof of concept of doing that actual thing? Like, what is what is it that you're doing? And if you're already doing that thing well, it should already put you in other positions where you get seen. So that's where I'm at with that. No LinkedIn for me, personally. Don't reach out to me on LinkedIn. Reach out to me on Instagram, @JDBunkis. All right, we're wrapping this up. Leafs talk tonight. James Myrtle tomorrow. Bobby Marks tomorrow. I'm nervous about the Seattle Supersonics situation. I really don't think it's going to happen. I'm not buying the expansion thing. We'll see if I'm wrong. We'll talk to you then.
All-you-can-eat dripping chicken sandwiches at St. Louis Bar and Grill. We challenge you to beat the record for most sandwiches in a single sitting.
What's the record?
2. The record is 2, but we believe in you. All-you-can-eat dripping chicken sandwiches for just $18.99 at St. Louis Bar and Grill. Dine-in only.
A serious car accident can change your life in an instant, but a team of trusted legal and medical experts can clear your path to recovery.